Hey guys, what's going on? How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Well,
Doing well. It's been I think a couple of years since we had you guys in studio. Though I know you've been back in town because we'll hear like Danny went to go get coffee at Tim Hortons in Frankenmuth or whatever.
yeah.
We'll get word of whatever you guys are doing around town. So it's like you're here, but you're not.
Right, right.
Well, I know we don't have a ton of time. It's interesting living in this area and getting to watch you guys and your careers because people here have been on the ground floor. They've watched you guys from, playing house parties to playing block parties to now, sharing the stage with some of the biggest musical acts in the world. And everything you guys do here across the world is covered here, whether it be TV or newspaper or radio, obviously, or whomever. So we've seen what you guys have been up to. I'm curious from the inside of it, from the guys experiencing it, what have the past couple of years been like since Highway Tune hit and you've sold millions of tickets, albums? What have the last couple of years been like for you guys?
It's been wild.
Tumultuous, man.
Yeah, absolutely wild. But at the end of the day, it's been constant touring up until obviously this year and playing in so many different places, like the 5 continents, everything. And honestly, that is what we've always really wanted to do. So in that sense, it's super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've had this last year to reflect, I'm sure, as most has had this year to reflect. And yeah, it's just, there's so much that we've done in the last 3 years that it, feels just like an absolute, a good train wreck,
Yeah.
So I know you guys have made the move to Nashville. That's sort of home base now. When you guys come back to mid-Michigan, when you come back home, does it feel different when you guys make the trip back? Is it weird going to Tim Hortons and having people like, OMG, Danny's here or whatever? Is it odd coming back home, or do you guys still kind of have that hometown feel?
It is odd. Like there are certain senses that it is always hometown, visually especially. You go home and there's that nostalgia of the smells and seeing the town, and especially during Christmas, which is awesome. But it is very shocking at times when you go around and it's not exactly the same as how you left it,
Hey, Mom, would you go to the grocery store for me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got to imagine that's a little bit different than when you guys were in high school and you could just go and do whatever you want. I imagine, doing stuff in your hometown is a little bit different now. I know that this past year was supposed to be big for you guys. I mean, you had the shows scheduled with Metallica, and I imagine that's like that's the pinnacle. That's to get word that you're going to open a show for Metallica has got to be the top of the top. What's it like to get that phone call, to get that message like, hey guys, by the way, you'll be opening for Metallica at these massive shows in South America?
Yeah, I remember when we were first asked, it was very shocking. It was like, oh, cool. Wow. Almost couldn't even believe it.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think that a band like Metallica too now sort of stands as the pinnacle figure for rock and roll. I think, they're the godfathers of that genre at this point. So it was like honorary to such a high degree, and especially in South America. I mean, that was the cherry on top too. It's like, you'll be opening for Metallica, fantastic, but you'll be opening for Metallica in South America, where rock and roll is God,
Yeah, absolutely. And we were supposed to kick off the year with that. It was going to be our 2020 debut of touring. So it was even cooler that was how we were starting and all.
I know that you guys just announced a couple of weeks ago that you have the new album coming out in April, and I've seen some different interviews where you talked about the album. You had started it in 2019 before this all happened. How did the pandemic affect writing, recording, the album? I assume that it gave you a ton more time because, on Anthem for the Peaceful Army, you didn't have a lot of time to write that. Now you have all the time in the world.
Certainly, that was a huge, huge difference for us.
Yeah, I mean, it offered that, so much extra time, and we had the record done, and the pandemic set in, and it was like, okay, we're going to go out to the country and we're going to write more music. And we added 2 more songs onto the album entirely. I mean, it certainly changed what the album is going to be. And I think, certain for many artists, I think that dictated a lot of change within their their most recent works. But for us, for certain, it was very beneficial, I think.
As you guys sat down, you started writing, recording this album, plotting things out, did you have certain goals? We want to do this time around. We don't want to do this time around. Do you guys set those sorts of goals, or you just let things happen as they do?
I think we always have objectives. Yeah. Certain things that everybody wants to try to achieve, and we sort of culminate those and mesh them together in one body of work. I think this time around, it was really focused on capturing performances. I mean, we basically tracked all of these pretty much live. I mean, straight through, and I think that the Battle at Gardens Gate is an honest representation of, I think, where we are currently as musicians, as songwriters, as performers, as instrumentalists and studio musicians. So
after years of playing and playing, it's what we love to do. So why not take it to the studio?
Yeah.
When you guys go back and you listen to those early EPs, you listen to the last album, how do you think the new record compares, and how do you think you guys have grown over the course of, I realize it's only been a few years, but you guys have played hundreds of shows. You've sold millions of tickets. You've done all these national TV performances. How do you think that growth has sort of helped this next album?
I think a lot of this new album will offer more substance, and quite literally there will be more songs on this album, and it'll be a longer album than we've ever released before. So the spectrum of sonic color, of the album will be far broader than it ever has been before.
Yeah, it's a really dense album. It's really dense. There's it's very concentrated, and I think a lot of the influence that sort of informed the album was the places what we've been in the last 3 years, and the amount of people we've played for, and the cultures that we've seen, and there's a global community, and this album sort of is informed by that.
It's very personal to us, I think.
Yeah.
And I think there's that personal aspect when you listen to My Way Soon. You could tell that it was written sort of on the road, and you guys took the inspiration of spending so much time on the road to write that song. How much have your travels over the past few years kind of influenced the next album?
I think, all of it, really. I think, it was like, again, like something like My Way Soon definitely was written on the road, and it was definitely kind of, it's pieced together there. But it reflects a lot of that energy, reflects a lot of what touring sounds like. I think it feels like to us. But yeah, it is kind of about our personal experiences, and it's about every individual's freedom. I think personal freedoms. We were sort of thrown out into the world at a really young age, and it's like at that point it was like really a choice, and we chose the road. So I think that's My Way Soon.
And the second single you guys just released last week, Age of Machine, certainly different than My Way Soon, more of a sort of grandiose, sort of epic song. Did you feel like you needed a song like that, a 6-minute song to kind of, start to show off your chops a little bit and get to do something maybe you haven't had the chance to do yet?
One thing that we run into that I feel that a lot of artists don't, and it's just so bizarre, is we often overwrite our songs. It's so hard to write a song that is within the 3-minute mark for us. It is almost impossible at times. It's just when we write, it does not feel like 6 minutes at all until we actually record it. And then we're always just curious, how long is it? How long is it? Yeah. Oh man, that's way longer than I thought.
Yeah, it's interesting because it was something that was really organic. We like to go out off the beaten trail to, cabins and places in the mountains of the country and write. And that's kind of where we come from. That was sort of the ethos of our creative spirits to a certain degree. And that, again, we were somewhere out, it was in some cabin, and we were writing, we had bits and pieces, and we were basically just sculpting Age of Machine. And again, it was like, okay, cool, get going, and we'll start arranging this thing. And then we demo it and we look at each other. It's like 8.5 minutes long originally, and it's like, oh, okay, let's recoil this a bit. But yeah, again, like Danny said, it's always ends up longer than we anticipate.
Well, I know it's going to be a few months before the album gets released, and I'm sure we're all hoping that 2021 you guys can get back out on the road. And for those of us locally, it's been a while since we've seen Greta Van Fleet in the Great Lakes Bay region, Bay City, Saginaw. I think Bob Seger, maybe the charity shows you guys have done in Frankenmuth. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, are there the possibility of plans in 2021 for maybe a hometown show?
Perhaps,
yeah.
I'll leave it to the imagination.
Okay, right. That's kind of what I didn't expect like a date or anything, but I think imagination's good. I think that's all right.
I wish we had numbers and dates and answers.
Well, looking forward to seeing you guys here in town at some point here, hopefully soon. Hope you guys have a great Christmas, and we'll talk to you again real soon here. Okay.
Awesome.
You too, man.
Thank you, man.